Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
This is the story of a nearly blind kid from a poor mat-making family who decided he was destined to save the world by killing people. He claimed to have divine powers, built a cult with scientists and cops in it, and then unleashed nerve gas on Tokyo's subway system during rush hour. And somehow, that's not even the wildest part. Before we dive in, if you like your true crime brief and bingeable, you're in the right place. Hit follow now for at least 2 new episodes every week. This is 10 Minute Murder. Let's get into it. In the spring of 1955, in Kumamoto, Japan, a poor family of mat makers welcomed their 4th son. His name was Chizuo Matsumoto, and at first glance, his life was expected to follow a pretty standard track. Grow up, weave some tatami mats, raise a family, end credits. But Chizuo was born with infantile glaucoma. His left eye was completely blind, and his right eye barely worked. That alone was enough to knock him off the family's career path. So, at age 6, his parents sent him to school for the blind. He didn't just study there, he lived there, and he never moved back home. He graduated in 1973, and despite being mostly blind, he wasn't lacking in ambition. At school, Chizuo carved out a reputation as a bit of a bossy guide, sometimes a leader, sometimes a bully. He helped other students get around using his partial vision, which made him useful, but it also made him bold. He used to tell classmates that he'd be president of Japan someday. Not student council president, actual president. And when he finished school, he figured, sure, why not go for it? He applied to law school in Tokyo. The answer was no, a pretty firm no. That rejection pushed him onto a more common path for people in his situation at the time. Acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Eventually, he opened a small clinic just outside Tokyo. It wasn't flashy, but it paid the bills. He got married. They had 6 kids. From the outside, he had built something stable, but stability wasn't what he was after. Chizuo Matsumoto wasn't satisfied treating some sore backs and migraines. His ambition ran deeper. Traditional Chinese medicine had introduced him to something he found more powerful: spirituality. He got into Chinese astrology, Taoism, yoga, and meditation, then Buddhism, then Christianity. If it promised secret knowledge, he was all in. Still, it wasn't enough. After a few trips to India, including one where he met the 14th Dalai Lama, Chizuo came back to Japan with bold claims. He said he had reached full enlightenment, understood the fabric of reality, and had a mission from the Hindu god Shiva to bring real Buddhism to Japan. He began calling himself Sunshi, which means guru, and he started handing out pamphlets. His Tokyo apartment became the center for his new movement. He called it Aum Shinrikyo, meaning supreme truth. He also renamed himself Shoko Asahara and started calling himself Tokyo's Christ. Subtle? Not really. But it worked. By 1989, Aum Shinrikyo was officially recognized as a religion. And it wasn't just attracting lost souls. It was pulling in top university grads, scientists, and engineers. People with credentials were now pledging loyalty to Shoko. Aum Shinrikyo had grown far beyond a yoga class in a blind man's apartment. It became a status symbol for Japan's elite. Scientists, engineers, military officials, even Tokyo police officers were buying in. Shoko embraced the spotlight. He published his own manga and anime, blending spiritual philosophy with robots, quests, and sci-fi themes. He backed it with ad campaigns that promised to heal illness, unlock psychic power, and help people reach their goals. It worked. The son of a poor mat maker was now being treated like a prophet by people in real positions of power. New recruits went through bizarre rituals, hallucinogens, being hung upside down, even electric shocks. It was marketed as spiritual awakening, but that facade didn't last. The rituals turned brutal. Drugs gave way to physical abuse. Members who tried to leave were kidnapped or disappeared entirely. Shoko claimed anyone outside the cult had bad karma and was doomed to eternal suffering. But he offered a solution. He believed enlightened followers could save those people, and the fastest way to do that, he said, was to kill them before their karma got worse. This was the belief system, and somehow people accepted it. Shoko's beliefs had gone from extreme to deadly. In 1989, Tokyo Broadcasting System, or TBS, recorded an interview with a lawyer who was building a case against Aum Shinrikyo. The interview never aired. Cult members had infiltrated the network, seen the footage, and shut it down. Some pressured the stations. Others went straight to Sakamoto, the lawyer's, home. Around 3 a.m., they broke in through an unlocked door. The lawyer was in bed with his wife. Their 1-year-old son was in the next room. Sakamoto was struck with a hammer, injected with potassium chloride, and strangled. His wife and son were killed the same way. Their bodies were sealed in metal drums and dumped in separate rural areas. The murders remained unsolved for years. Meanwhile, Shoko claimed he had been chosen by the Hindu god Shiva to lead a divine army and build a utopia for the enlightened. His plan? Take over Japan. He tried doing it legally at first. In 1990, he entered 25 cult members into the national election. None were elected. He saw that as proof the world was out to stop him, so he changed his tactics. After the election flop, Shoko was convinced there was a conspiracy working directly against him. If the Democratic route wasn't going to let him build his spiritual utopia, then it was time to go full apocalyptic. He announced that overthrowing the Japanese government was now the mission. Peacefully, if possible, but more likely not. The cult started stockpiling weapons and openly talking about biological and chemical warfare. That sharp turn into paramilitary territory caused many of Aum Shinrikyo's followers to bail, but the ones who stuck around, they were all in. And that was enough. One of them was the president of Okumura Iron Works. With him on board, Aum Shinrikyo quietly began replacing the company's original staff with cult members. By the time they were done, nearly 90% of the workforce had been swapped out. What was once a legit iron factory was now a front for forging weapons and developing biological agents. It became a covert lab for chemical warfare, dressed up as a place that made metal parts. Meanwhile, Shoko reappeared on television. The goal was to smooth over the cult's image, recruit new members, and bring in more donations. But behind the scenes, he was unraveling. He was experiencing hallucinations, convinced that enemies were hiding everywhere. He withdrew from public life and claimed that worldly distractions were preventing him from fulfilling his divine mission. Inside the cult, the strategy shifted again. The most efficient and cost-effective way to launch their next phase, they decided, was to produce their own nerve agent. The agent was Sarin. Sarin is brutal. It's colorless, odorless, and evaporates quickly into the air. Even a small amount can kill a person within minutes. There's no warning before it hits, and once it does, the effects are immediate. This was not only a threat, this was a preparation for war. Before targeting the whole country, Shoko wanted to test his nerve agent. The target was a group of judges involved in a land dispute with Aum Shinrikyo. 6 cult members drove through Matsumoto in a van and sprayed sarin gas into a residential area. 58 people were hospitalized. 8 died. At first, the attack was not linked to the cult. That changed after one member was tied to a kidnapping, and sarin was found in soil samples under their compound. Police planned a raid, but Shoko had insiders in the Tokyo police who tipped him off. Instead of hiding, he escalated. He sent members into the Tokyo subway during rush hour, carrying plastic bags of sarin. They dropped them, punctured the bags with umbrellas, and walked away. Several train lines were hit. Nearly 700 people were hospitalized. Around 5,000 made it out on their own. Hospitals didn't realize it was a chemical attack until hours later. By then, it was too late for some. 8 died that day. 4 more died later. Only the poor quality of the sarin kept the death toll from being much higher. The evidence was finally overwhelming. Police raided the cult's headquarters. Shoko was finally arrested and hit with 27 murder charges. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. In 2018, that sentence was carried out. 6 other senior members of Aum Shinrikyo were also executed. But the story didn't end there. Before his death, Shoko had arranged for his 4th daughter to receive his ashes. That move caught his followers off guard. She wasn't part of the cult and had publicly rejected everything her father stood for. She made it clear she had no intention of preserving his legacy. If anything, she planned to scatter his ashes in the ocean and be done with it. Shoko's wife and 3rd daughter stepped in and petitioned for custody of the remains. They were still loyal, along with their other active members of the cult who had never been arrested. Their plan was to build a shrine in his honor, a permanent place to continue his worship. Eventually, they won the case. In 2024, they took possession of his ashes. As of the recording of this episode in 2025, there's no public shrine yet, at least not officially. But the cult didn't die with Shoko. Aum Shinrikyo still exists in fragmented forms. Some of its offshoots are quiet, others are still recruiting. As of now, it's believed that around 1,600 members are still active, spreading his teachings and trying to keep the myth of Shoko Asahara alive. Thanks for listening to 10 Minute Murder, bingeable true crime stories. My name is Joe, I'm the host. And let me tell you, this story was difficult. Obviously, for the lives lost, that's always a difficult thing to talk about day in and day out, to research all the time. I've covered this. I've talked about this in the past. But there was that mixed with the fact that this is Japan. I'm super American, and pronouncing these names is difficult for me. I've always struggled. If you're an OG listener to this podcast, you know since day one, I've struggled with names and places if they aren't native to what I know. That doesn't stop me. I still try to branch out. I still do the research and try to figure out how to say them. But the signal between my brain and my mouth sometimes doesn't work like it should. I mean, zero disrespect when I mispronounce something, and especially in this one where the names are just so difficult for me. And this has been on my radar. This story has been on my radar for a couple of years now. Someone requested it, and I wish I could remember your name, but it's been a while, and that message is lost to time at this point. But it's a great story, and I've delayed doing it because I just didn't want to tackle these names. But it's a story that's so interesting, and you don't hear a lot about in the States. I'm sure in Japan you hear about it, and it's still a thing that goes on there that they talk about. But here, they don't really talk about this. So I definitely wanted to cover it on the podcast. Hey, if you're a brand new listener, welcome. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you enjoy the podcast, share it with your friends and family. Go to 10minutemurder.com. There you'll find all kinds of things, including the way to get in touch with me if you want to do that. 10minutemurder.com. That's going to do it. That is your episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.